This is a review of the Garmin Foretrex 301 GPS from the point of view of using it as a sailing watch or navigational aid. It's a nice small form factor. It's about 75mm long and 40mm deep and about 25mm thick. It comes with a strap that hooks onto these little pins on the side. But what I've found in the past, and what a lot of people have found, is that that strap in the box isn't very good. I've had one of these fall off my wrist and drop into the water. So I tend to use a case like this one from TMC. Basically, it's got a nice big Velcro strap on the back with plenty of adjustment, so that you can wear this either on your wrist or over the top of a sailing jacket as well. And you can strap that down nice and tight so that it doesn't fall off. From a battery point of view, there's a little battery packet on the back. It takes two AAA batteries, two AAA batteries, sorry, and those give you a life of around about up to about 20 hours, depending on how much you use the backlight. For connecting to the PC, there's a little USB Type B port in the back there, mini USB. From there you can download your tracks and the GPS information. So on the bottom you've got 5 buttons, 1 for power and 4 for navigating through the instrument. They're nice big tactile buttons that are easy to use if you've got gloves on or through the case. There's no touchscreen or anything to be affected if it gets wet. On starting it up, you get a little message come up that shows I've got this set up to show my phone number, so if someone loses it, they can come I can find it again. They can get hold of me. Various pages. You've got the standard sort of breadcrumb page, not much use while you're sailing. You've got another page that shows your heading, and then 2 user-definable fields on the side. These are set up for time and speed at the moment. 2 of the things I tend to use the most on it. Next, you've got the main information screens, and these are split up, so you've got one large one, or you can have 2 smaller pieces of information. This then scrolls down, so bearing at the top moves down to the bottom. You can have 3 bits of information on the screen, and then again that scrolls down again to have 4 on the screen if you need it. You've got a race timer, this is set up for a 5-minute countdown. You can change this in the configuration to whatever you like, but you can also, during the countdown, you can sync it to the next gun. The race timer isn't set up to be on the screen from out of the box. You need to go into setup, and there's an option in here under timer to turn it on. You can also change the countdown time, and you can set it to whatever you like. Also within settings, there's a few other bits and pieces you can do in here. Heading. This is set up for degrees and also for magnetic north. We've got a magnetic deviation of about 20 degrees at the moment, so it's picked that up. But you can set that up whether you want true north, grid north, magnetic north, or you can plug in your own deviation as needs be. So from a navigation point of view, the thing that I tend to use the most is Waypoints. I've got all the local racing marks programmed in, and they're set up into these folders with numbers at the start or alphabetically. For the marks that I use on a regular basis, I've cheated and put numbers at the start of them just to make them easily accessible, because there's only about 16 of them, and I just have them all in that first tab. So you would just set up one of these. So we wanted to go to Devonport, and you just select go. You can edit them through here, but it's a bit fiddly. Basically, you it's a bit fiddly and it takes a long time. You're far better off generally to edit them through using Garmin Basecamp, which is a free software for the computer, and then you load them in. So if we select that point and navigate to it, then come back to this screen, and it shows us, well, I'm not entirely sure what that's showing us. I think it's just generally heading. This page I tend to use for this is something like this. So you've got bearing, that's the bearing from your current location to the mark. On your original course, if you had a course programmed in, that would have been the direction you needed to go in. Heading is the direction you're currently heading in, and turn is what I find is the really useful one. That's the difference between your current heading and the bearing that you should be steering to. This is really handy for on long distance racing when the next mark is 20, 30, 50 miles away. And you just program in the next mark and you can find very quickly whether you're above or below the mark as you're sailing along. So I'd have it set up as something like this, giving me heading and turn, and usually that'll be set to speed. And then, yeah, speed is a really useful one just for checking that you've got the boat in the right mode and you're hitting your target speeds. All of these fields are user definable, so you can go in and change them. And there's a big list of options. The ones that I tend to use most of all, as I said, were occasionally final ETA and distance if you've actually got a full route programmed in. Max speed is something I like to check at the end of the day. That was from the last time we went out. Next distance and next ETA are quite handy, seeing how long it's going to be till the next mark, or ETE for estimated time en route. Off course tells you how far to the left or the right of the run line you are, which if you're going upwind could be quite handy. Sunrise and sunset, if you're doing long distance racing and you want to know what time the sun's going to go down, can come in useful. To course gives you the bearing to get back to your course, but I find turn, which is how much you've got to turn to get to your next, or get back to the correct bearing, much more useful. And it gives you VMG as well, but that's just VMG to your next waypoint. It's not VMG to the wind. So that's basically the main parts of how I use it. What it won't do, it's not very intuitive on how to give you an actual position. There's no live readout of position. The way I find you've got to do it is go into the breadcrumb map, and you press and hold enter to mark a point, and then that gives you your position at the bottom. So if you're in an emergency and you needed to communicate your position to Coast Guard or whoever, that's the quickest and easiest way to get to it. But it's not a live update. This won't give you a start line solution. Hasn't got the programming in it to do it. There are other options out there. It doesn't do lifts and headers. It gives you your heading at any given time, and you've just got to monitor that same way as you would a normal compass. But yeah, overall, it's a nice, compact, rugged little GPS. The one thing that in a later upgrade now, the 601 will navigate to a bearing, which could be useful. You could set that up to give you upwind VMG by sighting that bearing, programming it in, and then you've got some kind of VMG upwind, but it wouldn't be especially accurate. But no, overall these are good. They're starting to get quite cheap now if you can find them second hand, or Garmin's still selling the 401 new. But no, overall, nice little unit.